soon as I saw the word congratulations, I screamed at the top of my lungs, Ahmedabad, I made it. Quant was, I think, my biggest obstacle. Because the concepts weren't very difficult, it's more about how you apply them. That's where I put more focus into. I used the analysis area of BYJU'S Exam Prep. They gave like a list of topics, weak areas and a list of strong areas. So that definitely helped me to identify.
Hello everybody. Every year, lakhs of students go ahead and prepare for the MBA entrance examinations. This year, roughly about 2.4 lakh people went ahead and registered for the same, and a humongous number of over 2.1 lakh students went ahead and wrote the CAT exam. Every single one of them had just one dream: getting into one of the top B schools of the country and thereby ensuring that their path to success starts. Whether it is entering into their corporate journey, whether it is kickstarting their entrepreneurial journey, or it is about, probably going ahead and becoming an author, or probably going ahead and becoming a cricket commentator, and much, much more. In a very, very similar way, we have one student with us, an expert now, if I can go ahead and call her that, who went ahead, experienced this entire journey herself last year, and this year is sitting here in front of us, having converted one, if not the best MBA college in India, IIM Ahmedabad. Hi Amrit, welcome to CAT Spotlight.
Hello sir, thank you so much for having me.
So Amrit, the very first question that I have,
yes.
I don't remember the date, but yeah, you open the laptop and you have a mail from IIM Ahmedabad stating you've converted.
Yes.
What was your reaction?
So I do remember the date. It was April 15th. Yes, it was April 15th. I had not informed my mother because I wanted to just, give her a surprise. And
confident thi ho jayega.
I wanted to basically tell her directly that if I made it or not. So I had not informed my family members at the time. But as soon as I saw the word congratulations, I screamed at the top of my lungs. My mom, my dad, they all came running into my room to, see what had happened. And that's when I was like, Ahmedabad, I made it. So yeah, it was a very exhilarating moment and something I don't think I will forget ever.
Lovely. And reaction of your family, parents, what was it?
I broke into tears. I broke down. My mom broke down, and my dad also, he also got very emotional. They were I was the only person I think who could not believe it, but my parents are like, we knew it, that you could do it. And my dad, he just started spreading the word that he wanted to tell everybody because he was so proud of it. And yes, my mom also, she was also very emotional and happy.
Oh, lovely. As you said, you won't forget 15th of April,
yes.
2023 anytime soon.
Yes,
right?
No.
Cool. Lovely. So, in this journey, I'm sure, there were a lot of ups, there are a lot of downs. So what we'll do today is probably take all of our students through the entire journey, right from when you thought about MBA karna hai to finally going ahead and getting that congratulations letter. So let's kickstart with that. The first question that comes to mind is, your pedigree is great. You're from an NLU.
Yes.
You've done very well for yourself. You're from one of the top NLUs of the country. A lawyer who suddenly turns around and states, "Nahi, I want to change things. I want to enter into a different domain altogether. I want to kickstart my MBA journey." And there are many students out there. You'll have students from agriculture, forestry, physics honors, mathematics honors, BCom, multiple art streams who are thinking the same thing today. Many lawyers perhaps who are thinking the same thing today. But, I want to do something different. So first and foremost, why? Why did you want to change? And second, what motivated you to, yes, probably MBA is the right path for that?
Right. Yes, as you mentioned, I do come from an unconventional background as far as MBA graduates go. What drew me towards an MBA was the fact that I was working in legal consulting at BYJU'S since my law degree completed. And I figured that if I want to further my career, I wanted to explore other domains which were beyond the vertical of law. So that's how I got my first taste of an MBA. And
so did you talk to somebody, because you were in legal consulting already, right?
Yes.
So you're probably stating, I wanted to probably continue in consulting, but I wanted to get an experience of the other avenue. So did you talk to people, or was it like, nahi, theek hai, I did my own research work and MBA is the way out? Or did you talk to a couple of people about that?
I did not really talk to anybody about from the career point of view, that's my own research. That's my own decision how I came to it. But wherever I figured, I found myself at crossroads of what to do and how to do it. I consulted my mother, who has been my biggest cheerleader, who has been my biggest supporter throughout my life. So yes, she's also been my biggest motivator. Like, she's the one who pushed me towards it. So yes, I would like to thank my mother for that. And yeah, the decision of how I came down to an MBA, that I think is my own.
Yeah, lovely. Kudos. And would have taken a lot of research work to actually come to the conclusion that this is the right path to go ahead and do that. So, okay. So that would have happened sometime last year, or probably late last year, sometime around that time, I'm guessing, this decision.
No. So the seed of an MBA has been planted in my mind since the last 2 years, but I actually implemented it in April of last year.
So last year.
So
Perfect.
Yes,
Lovely.
April of 22. That's when I seriously started to explore, and I started to research about institutes and all, and I eventually landed on BYJU'S Exam Prep. So yes, April of last year is when my CAT journey began.
Yeah, it's cool. So as you pointed out, so April last year you joined us at BYJU'S Exam Prep. So in the early stages, what was it? Because generally people who come from a slightly unconventional background, as you stated, they get afraid of quant. They're like, "Arey, ye kya hai?" Then reasoning is also something they're like, "Acha, this has a little bit of quant," even though it's actually puzzles.
Yes.
Verbal, I'm guessing you would have been comfortable with. You would have read a lot. So you would have been like, "Acha, this I think I can handle." But what about the other two sections? And how did you overcome that fear that might have been then earlier?
Right. So yes, as you mentioned, quant was, I think, my biggest obstacle that I found, even though I did have maths in school till 12th, but it had been almost 8 years since I had not studied maths at all. So yes, it did seem daunting from afar. But once I started attending classes and I started studying myself, I figured that it was not a very, the concepts weren't very difficult. It's more about how you apply them. So that's where I put more focus into. For logical, I think being a lawyer, my logical
Reasoning
is one of my strengths. But the level of CAT sets that they have, I solved a few. I tried to solve a few from the previous year question papers, and they were very difficult. They were so difficult. So I had to begin from scratch. Like, what I initially thought that I would be good at LRDI and weak at maths, it just completely went for a toss, and I discovered that LRDI is the toughest nut to crack. So, and as far as my strengths go, VARC, yes, being a lawyer, I figure I feel like I have a stronghold on the English language. I also have been an avid reader since my childhood, so that helped with the RCs, and like my reading speed was decent. So that certainly helped.
Perfect. So like you were pointing out, entering into class, attending classes, probably looking at a few videos. What is it that helped you, to first and foremost in math to overcome the fear in quant, and secondly in DILR, once the fear had suddenly the seeds of fear had germinated, how were you able to abate that fear? What is it that you went about?
For quant, if I talk about quant, I used to watch the pre-recorded videos before the class so that I have a better grasp on what's being taught. I can catch up easily, because quant was something that I was doing after a long time. So I had to put in slightly more effort, but with the pre-recorded videos, it certainly helped a lot. For LRDI, I think the best strategy that I found was to basically solve a lot of different types of sets. That it basically helps you to develop a logical thinking, a logical way of thinking, and it helps to crack any set that might come in front of you. So yes.
So I'm sure you went through all the topic tests and multiple number of sets that were there in LRDI. Like you pointed out, different genres, right? It's not just about doing tables or graphs or pie chart or games and tournaments, but a mixture of these, reasoning based DI and all of that. I can still see the fear. Kyun yaad dila rahe ho?
Yes, tables and all, yes, those were not my favorite subjects, not my favorite topics. Arrangements, I figured, was one of my favorite ones because, I could crack them.
Yeah, so like you said, you're veering more towards the LR than the DI.
Yes, exactly.
LR is something you're more comfortable with that. And the good part is CAT over the years has become more favorable and tending more towards LR than DI. So that kind of worked for you. So
yeah, that did work for me, and yes, it did work out for me at the end. For LRDI, I also practiced a lot, like you mentioned, topic tests. I gave a lot of topic tests, which helped me basically benchmark myself, like gauge my progress over the months, and help me to focus, identify which areas were weaker for me. That goes for both LRDI as well as quant.
Absolutely, lovely. And in verbal, considering that was an area of strength, what is it that you went about there to ensure that the percentile increases?
Right. So even though I did have a good grasp on the English language, but to prepare specifically for like how CAT demands from you, VARC, the section. So for that, for VA part, Nikita ma'am has been my favorite teacher. Shout out to Nikita ma'am. She has been my favorite teacher. I attended almost all of her YouTube videos, YouTube sessions, as well as the live sessions on the app. She helped me make my VA section more stronger. And for the RC, I would like to thank Alpa ma'am. Her sessions, her Hindu editorial sessions at 10 a.m. in the morning, they were very, very helpful. They were like, she taught us how to tips like skim reading and how to identify the main topics, and how to identify which topics, which paragraphs you can skip. So yeah, she helped me read in a better way.
Nice, lovely. So that's good to hear, and I'm sure that has held you in good stead. Let's get deeper into it. There are these misnomers that I keep hearing from students year after year. Sir, mock abhi nahi likhenge, syllabus khatam ho jane do. Let the syllabus get over before I start. Now, I'm quite sure you'll also be a proponent of the fact that mocks are very important.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's a replica of the exam. But do you actually also fall into this category of students who's like, or did you fall and have changed now? I don't know what it is that I'm going to hear, but yeah, so what is your take on that? Should people wait for the syllabus to end before kickstarting them?
No, absolutely not. I do not think that mocks should be given after like a portion of the syllabus is completed. I was of that state of mind at the beginning, first 1 month of my prep, where I was very scared. I was so scared of writing my first mock exam. But after the fear dissolved in my mind, I gave my first mock, and eventually when I started giving more regular mocks, like I started off with fortnightly mocks, moving on to weekly, and then once every 3 to 4 days till the month of October. And yeah,
perfect.
CAT exam was held at the end of November, right? So that mocks help you to benchmark your progress. They help you to identify your weak areas, your strong areas, because they helped me a lot. Like I could prepare in a better manner when I knew what I had to put more efforts into.
So basically what you're getting to is not just writing it, but the analysis part, the analyzing of mocks was important.
Yes.
So was there any specific methodology that you used in analyzing the mocks?
I used the analysis area of BYJU'S Exam Prep. They gave like a list of topics, like a list of weak areas and a list of strong areas. So that definitely helped me to identify.
So you focus more on the weaker one or the stronger ones?
Both. I did want to polish my stronger ones, but I wanted to also bring the weaker areas up to the same mark, up to the same level. But at the end, I think this was my strategy till like mid-October or something, because after that, I figured that if I have to crack CAT, you only need a certain number of marks, right? You don't have to like solve the entire paper. So after that, I started putting more focus into my stronger areas to make them even, to make them shine even more.
Correct. So probably had you done that even earlier, you would have been even more comfortable and even more confident of the fact, theek hai, chill hai, don't need to worry about everything. Let's just do things that actually matter. But yeah, so quite interesting. Now in this entire journey, I'm sure there would have been a lot of ups and downs, especially, downs in mocks. I'm sure there would have been a couple of mocks where you did not do too well. Or sometimes when you were frustrated, yaar, ye kya kar diya, अच्छा वाला job hai jo kar rahi thi, why is it that I've changed? So what were those, certain instances that came up, and how did you cope with that, and how do you keep yourself motivated? Because that is something that will happen with every student out there, right? At some point or the other, motivation levels will tank.
Yes. And those moments are when you need to just remind yourself of the end goal, that you're working towards something. There are bound to be moments there are bound to be highs and lows, right?
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that you mentioned the job chhod diya wala, because yes, that was the most recurring thought that occurred to me during my low moments, because I had taken this leap of faith. I had resigned from my job because I wanted to continue this, like I wanted to put more efforts into it, basically. Like I felt that I was not able to do justice to either my job or my studies. So I wanted to put like 100% of my hours towards the CAT prep, and that's where I left my job. But yes, I had a lot of moments of doubt where I was doubting my decision to resign from my job. So, but overall, I think it all worked out in the end. And yes, my mother also, she was she was always right there by my side. So whenever I had my moments of doubt, moments of self-doubt and all, so I used to go up to her and talk to her, and she basically was my anchor, and she reminded me of what I am doing this for, like the end goal. So,
perfect. Yeah, lovely. I think that's very, very helpful.
yes.
And so basically you're saying focus on the end goal,
yes,
and follow the process.
Yes, and have
End
a
goal,
support
process.
system.
Have a support
Yes.
system. Very, very important. I think that is something that you will need even once you go into an MBA.
Yes.
That support system is going to be very important. Lovely. So, this is part one, but the part one of it is just about cracking the exam.
Right.
And till you crack it, you're like, oh, this is the most difficult thing on the planet. Once you cracked it, suddenly realize, oh, this is just the beginning. Calls start now.
Exactly.
So, as the part one, this is what brings us to the end of part one, which is preparing for these entrance examinations. And generally, till you've cracked it, you're like, oh, this is the most difficult, most painful part of the entire process. And then suddenly, there is this new, beast which comes into being, which is part two, stage two, which is PI, VAT, and GD in a couple of places, where you suddenly realize, oh, this is a different ball game, and nobody had warned me about this. So, what was your, mentality once you came across what this was? How did you handle the pressure? How did you go about it? How did you prepare yourself for this stage two? And how do you think you were able to go ahead and put your best foot forward?
Right. It's funny that you mentioned the part two, because yes, it came like almost as a surprise to me. I mean, at least I was not exposed to like the amount of effort that goes beyond cracking CAT, just the exam. So, it was a moment of kahani, abhi baki hai mere dost for me, because yeah, I discovered that there is like a lot left in my journey, that, I should not hang up my boots as yet. And yeah, so for like the process is basically GDPI, and most of the colleges have VAT now. So VAT is the written ability test, for which I practiced writing on different topics. More than practicing, I think I read a lot, because I read on a lot of current affair topics, because those are the main topics from which the
Sure.
VAT topics come from.
Yeah,
yes. So for the PI part, I think the biggest, like my starting point was the autobiography that was provided by, like the autobiography feature that, I discussed with you, in fact, where I, from my very beginning, like from the beginning of my life till the current stage, I sat down, wrote like a 8-page Word document, noting down every small, like from the littlest of things to like the biggest of things that happened in my life. It helped me to draft the answers in a better way to the HR questions. It helped me structure them in a better way. And like a lot of things that I might have forgotten about, I might have, overlooked. Yep. So those points, they came into the forefront. And I also sat down with my mother, because there was a lot of memories that I did not personally remember. So yes, so I wrote that, and then I had a discussion with my mentor at BYJU'S Exam Prep, which was you. And yeah, so and then
vividly remember that conversation.
Yes, so that long conversation. So yeah, so drafted the answers and finalized the answers, then practiced the answers a lot of times. I even recorded myself on my laptop, like the camera, the video feature, and I basically tried to speak, tried to bring fluency into my answers. And so that was the effort that I put into the HR questions. Apart from that, I brushed up on my academics from my college. It had been quite a few years since I had not touched any of those subjects. So I think I studied like law in depth since after college. So it was after the gap of almost 4 years. And for, I think, my most comfortable arena amongst all of these was my work ex, because that was the most recent thing that happened in my life, and I was most comfortable with talking about it, with discussing it, going into depth about it. So I did not have to put in a lot into that, but I did go through my CV, like all of my points that I had written on my CV, and I brushed up on my work experience points. Then I also watched, I also would like to give a shout out to the BYJU'S IAS channel, because that helped me a lot with the current affair topics. Like, I used to watch the Hindu analysis video that that used to happen every morning, and it helped me keep abreast of the current affair topics, and which came directly into my interviews. Like, direct questions were asked from those topics.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, that was a huge help. That was the biggest resource for me. I also read about some static topics, some like some historical angles of my hometown, of my home state, and the state of the
College.
Yeah, the college for which I was sitting for the interview. So yes, that I think encompasses my prep for the
I think
PI.
quite in depth, right?
Yes.
Lot of aspects that one needs to keep in mind and go ahead and do.
It kept me occupied from the entire month of January and mid of Feb mostly. Yes.
Yeah, roughly. Perfect. I think that kind of encompasses a lot of it. A couple of other things that generally come up is during this part, preparing. There is a lot of, calls coming, interview calls are coming. Certain colleges you are getting a call from, certain you are not getting a call from. Sometimes it is a positive, sometimes it's a negative. Sometimes the positive is looked at negatively. Oh, one more call, that means more preparation. Oh, this will be more difficult. So how did you motivate yourself through that? How did you ensure that you were upbeat with everything that was happening and not getting demotivated by, say, one or two calls not coming your way?
So to be very frank here, the percentile that I got in CAT, I was not expecting half of the calls that I got. I remember having a discussion with you after the CAT result had come out, and when I had told you about my profile, that this is my profile, I have this much experience, and like, I come from this background. So you had told me that, these are the calls that you can expect, and you had mentioned A. I had asked you, does A mean Amritsar? And that's when you were like, no, Ahmedabad. So it gave me like a huge boost of confidence. And when the calls actually started trickling in, each call just made me like, go over the moon. And like, especially the call for Ahmedabad. So yes, I mean, I think that's what made me push, so much towards the PI and the VAT and the GD prep.
Yeah, I think you're downplaying your percentile. 95 is good. You did score at 95 percentile, and with the kind of academic diversity you have, since you're a law student, you did have a chance of getting those calls, and you got all of them, and you actually converted almost every single call you got. So I don't think you should be downplaying your percentile. It's not that it was very, very low. It was a good percentile. But yeah, as you said, each of it was motivating you, but was it also like, arey, theek hai, one more, this is difficult, we need to do, or no, it was only positive energy coming from every call?
It was mostly positive only.
Lovely. I think that's the best way, right? Because sometimes what people do is, in the positive also there comes a negative. Oh sir, ab to tension ho rahi hai. Sir, ab to Ahmedabad aa gaya. Sir, will hoga ki nahi hoga? Till I did not get the call, I wasn't worried. Now that I've gotten the call, if I don't convert, what will happen? So let's get tense. So students start doing that as well.
Right. I don't think I looked at it from that perspective. I mostly looked at it from a positive perspective, that I just felt like I have so many options now. That that I just figured that I will convert at least one of them, right?
I don't remember don't know whether you remember our conversation wherein I stated, now you've gotten the calls, let's try converting as many as possible, and then you get the opportunity to reject.
Yes. That's the best feeling.
That you are rejecting colleges instead of the other way around. Did you have fun over the last month or so rejecting?
A lot. In fact, Ahmedabad was the first result that was declared. So there were a lot of other calls that, other results that were declared after Ahmedabad. I don't think I was very lucky to not have that tension that a lot of others were facing, because I was like, like, this is it, right? This is where I'm going now. So I don't really have to worry a lot about, the other calls being converted or not. But fortunately, thankfully, like, I'm very, very grateful that I did manage to convert a lot of other calls also. And yes, it just...
So that's good news for all the others waiting. Waitlist is moving because of her for a lot of colleges. So please keep that in mind as well.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. So that's interesting, right? A lot of fun. So, okay. Now, couple of questions which I have, to round it all off is, number one, what according to you are some of the common mistakes that you might have seen some of your friends or peers make, and you made as well, but you learned from it, which, some of our students should be aware of and not make? And the second one I'll ask after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
one mistake I think I also am guilty of is changing your strategy too much and like too fast, too often. So I think what needs to be done is, you try out different strategies, because coming from a a different background, I did not have a lot of exposure to like the prep strategies, or basically I did not have a lot of people around me who were, continuing down the same path as I. So I did hear a lot, but eventually you do need to figure out like a strategy that works for you, and you need to stick to it over the last at least a month, month and a half. You need to stick to the strategy. So initially I was also feeling a little all over the place, because I was doing, I was following the advice of like multiple people those were around me, but eventually I figured out what worked for me, and it did work out for me.
Perfect. So I think, yeah, that's very important.
Yes.
Formulate your own strategy. Try formulating it as early as possible. Don't experiment a whole lot.
Yes.
And don't change it towards the end for sure.
Yes, so just stick to it.
That's the first one. Anything else that you would state that I think this is where I made a mistake or something like that? Or were you very comfortable with the way things went about in your preparation strategy?
Another point that I can mention here is to not skip out, to not basically go easy on the mocks or the sectional tests or the topic tests. Those are like extremely important. Like everybody says that they are important, that's for a reason. It helps you to like strategize better. It helps you to prepare in a better manner, that you can focus on, you can provide enough efforts, put in enough efforts into the areas which actually require it, and not put in not over prepare some topics, but to give equal amount of efforts into all of them. So it helped me to identify my weak areas, my stronger areas. Then topic tests helped me to make my stronger areas even more strong, and to basically get my weaker areas up to the same mark. So do not go easy on the topic test, I would say this. And yes, I also to have like a timetable, to basically have a timetable in mind, that you are supposed to give this particular subject on this particular section on this day, and that particular section on that day, and to follow it.
Yep, perfect.
So at least this all goes for at least the last 1 month, to have this timetable ready, to have the strategy ready, to have also the attempt strategy, like how you want to attempt the paper. That also I think is very important.
That brings me to one question. In some of our mocks in BYJU'S Exam Prep app, some of them were open mocks.
Yes.
Wherein a couple of us had gone ahead and actually taken mock attempt videos. Were you able to go ahead and look at our mock attempt videos? Do you think that helped you in any which way? Or did you even look at the video solutions on the app perhaps of some of the questions that were there?
So after giving every mock, be it the open mock or the closed one, I used to do the analysis. So the video analysis videos, they helped me a lot to find out not just the questions that I missed out on, but also the question that I solved, if there is a better method, if there is a better,
Correct.
like a quicker way of getting to the answer. So I used to watch the analysis videos religiously. I used to watch almost every single question, especially in quant and LRDI. Also for the open mock also, I did watch the answer videos to specific questions. So yes, they helped me a lot.
Lovely, great. One last thing.
Yes.
What is it that you would want to recommend to students out there to keep them motivated, to stay upbeat? What is it that they should do? Coming from an expert now, who's probably hopefully going to be a senior to them next year when they join Ahmedabad, and if they find you as your senior, what is it that you would recommend that they should do, considering it's just about 6 months to CAT?
Right. The first and foremost is to not lose heart, to not lose hope. That I hope this inspires even a single student, that my percentile was not I was not a 99 percentiler, yet I am able to reach Ahmedabad because I did not lose heart. I kept at it. So yeah, that would be my first tip to the students, that it's not impossible. It's not something that's unattainable. It's something that's very much, within the grasp of everybody. And yes, to basically put in the efforts and just to keep hustling.
Yeah. Perfect. I think words of advice to everybody out there. Please keep that in mind. And, I want to repeat this. Many students out there might be thinking, yeah, she's lucky. law background, lucky at a lower percentile, gotten a call. But then, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is coming from a law background, not having done math for so many years, looking at DILR and worrying about, oh my God, what this is, facing all of that, and then kickstarting and reaching 95, and not just Ahmedabad, gotten multiple calls along with that and converted all of them. I think it's been fabulous, interacting with you, Amrit. There is a lot that even I have learned today, and I'm quite sure all of our students out there have learned, and all the very, very best to you. I'm sure you'll do wonders at IIM Ahmedabad, and you'll go ahead and have a rocking time. First 2 trimesters, I think, are going to be a slight pain,
Yes.
but post that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm quite sure of that. And hopefully, you'll carve out a niche for yourself in what you want to go ahead and do. And here's, wishing you all the very best from BYJU'S Exam Prep. Thank you.
I am so grateful. I am really, thank you so much. BYJU'S has been my biggest, stepping stone towards getting where I am, and I am just very grateful to the entire team, to all of the faculty members, to you, sir, personally, and just to everybody. So, like, the use from a technology point of view, like the user interface to the app, to the the tablet, to the teaching methods provided by the different teachers, like all the resources, all the books and all. Yes, I could not have reached where I am if I did not have all of this. So I would like to thank. Yes.
Thanks a lot, Amrit. Thank you. So I hope each and every one of you found this session not just to be very informative, but also to be a lot of fun. Going through the entire journey of every single candidate and what they've been through in their own personal space, personal life, and actually what they dealt with, something very, very similar to what each and every one of you is dealing with or will deal with over the course of the next 6 months, and how did they cope with it, and how did they come out to the other side being comfortable, being happy, and eventually getting into a top B school. Gives us all a lot of motivation and fills us up with a lot of positivity that even we can go ahead and do that. So I hope that there are many of you out there who would next year be sitting here in front of me, and we'll have a chat, and we'll probably find Amrit to be their senior next year. Look forward to that very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.